You just clicking on this video shows there's probably a really good chance that you're days away from a full recovery. You have no idea how or why you're that close or even what to do to get past this and finally break through. And the reason I say this is because when I was struggling, when I thought my whole entire life was over, when I thought I was never going to recover, when I truly sincerely believed that I was the exception and that I was months or years away, if ever getting out of it, I was only days away. And even the moments to where it was the absolute worst, like my absolute rock bottom points to where I thought it was all over, even during those periods, I was the closest. Like, it was those periods in general, those periods to where I thought I was losing my life, to where I thought it was over for me, that I was literally days away from that full recovery. So what I want you guys to first understand is that it doesn't matter how bad your case is, even at the worst of the worst cases, you're still weeks away. And you can get out of it, and you can unlock not just the recovered identity, but really transmute this negative thing that's happened to you into something good, right? Your realization doesn't always have to be to you. It can be for you, and it can actually build you into someone that can do great things in this life, all right? So I'm going to be showing you guys the exact process I use to break through. This is like directly how to get out of it. You know, I just had a client, my guy, I'm not going to say his name, but I just had a client message me and send me a long voicemail. He was like, I know I've been in this program for 3 weeks. I'm literally a week away from a full recovery. I know it. What can I do to guarantee that I'll recover this week? And that itself gave me this whole video idea, because exactly what I told him is what I'm telling you right now. This is exactly how to break through. This is how to really excel, and this is how to break past that breaking point. All right, so going into this video, make sure you guys are taking notes. Make sure you guys are applying this, and use this to your advantage. Because if I would have had this when I was struggling, I would have recovered. I would have saved 4 years of my life. And I don't want you guys to have to spiral. I don't want you to have to go back to square one. I want you guys to excel. I want you guys to be able to live your life, live in the present, and move on from this shit. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the video. Alright everyone, I'm super excited for this video, because it doesn't matter if you're like 50% recovered, 90% recovered, 10% recovered, this video will change your life. And truthfully, if I would have had someone to tell me when I was in the midst of DPDR really struggling that I was days away from full recovery or weeks away from a full recovery, I wouldn't have believed them. But this is exactly how to get through that final point, right? Because a lot of times when you're in DPDR, it doesn't matter if you're 3 days away from a full recovery, your brain will tell you that you are so much farther away than you think. And if you don't understand the fundamentals on like how to break through, how to get past that limiting belief, and how to really excel to not just recover, but really step into that best version of you and live your life again, it's going to be very difficult not to spiral back to square one, right? Because we could get symptoms when we're so close, and it can literally feel this impending doom, like it's the end of the world. You might cry out to God, not knowing that literally if you just stick this through, tomorrow could be the day that you're fully there, right? So I want to avoid this for all of you guys. I don't want you to have to go through all of those experiences that I had to, because in the past, I had to, I would go back to square one over and over again, and it was like draining. I was constantly restarting my journey. I was constantly going back to the beginning, and that's what we're going to be untying in this video, how to completely eliminate that from your life and really take control and captive of recovery. Like being able to completely move on from this and not go back to the beginning. So let's get right into it. This is exactly how to know you're about to break through and what to do in this situation to make sure that you can actually recover. Okay, so let's get into it. So to start off, I originally used to feel trapped in symptoms for years. There were so many years of my life to where, I would start to experience symptoms, and then I would react to those symptoms, and I would spiral and go back to square one. It doesn't matter what stage of my life, every single time I would feel a symptom, I'd be reminded by everything I went through in the past, by how this could potentially last forever, how I've lost relationships, I've lost, jobs, all of this from the DPDR, and it would always just send me back to square one. Even like the visual symptoms, the visual snow especially, because that was just with me all day. So I was always constantly reminded. I would always fall back to square one, but every single time they came back, I thought I failed. Even if I'd make progress, I would go like a week, I'd go 2 weeks, I'd go 3 weeks, I'd go 5 days, without thinking about it. Or not really, like, to a point. I mean, towards the end, yes, but I even, like, towards the end, when I was, like, 90% recovered, I'd go a few hours without thinking about it, and then it would hit me in the face. I'd be like, damn, not again. Am I going back to square one? So for so long, I felt trapped. I remember like at a point when I was working at Lowe's, I had a job at Lowe's, and I would go like hours without thinking about it at Lowe's. And as soon as I'd like get in my car and drive back home, I'd sit in my room and be like, fuck, it hit me again. Or every time I talked to someone at one point, I'd feel the disconnection. I'd be like, oh shit, I'm back to square one. And this happened over and over and over again. You know, when I was in school, sitting down and I was seeing the visual symptoms every single day, like shit, this is who I am, right? I really claimed that identity for myself, and I didn't realize that the world is a mirror, and it's a reflection of how you feel inside. So when you respond to the situations that are happening to you, that's literally that's literally going to have the same exact response in your life. Something negative happens, and I respond to the negative situation, get mad about it. That's what's in front of the mirror. I'm gonna get more negative situations, right? So it's not about changing the reflection, it's about changing the image that is being reflected. And the turning point that I had was that I realized symptoms aren't the enemy. They're actually the solution. They're actually the chance. They're actually the opportunity for me to break past this, to finally say, hey, I'm done with this shit. I'm moved on. I'm on this new identity. So I had this crazy epiphany. I run I started running 5 miles a day. You know, if you guys know my story, I dropped all of my vices and I committed every single aspect of my life towards a full recovery at my lowest point. Because truthfully, living in the state any longer was so much worse than just doing the work and figuring it out. Because I know that people recovered before me. I knew it was possible, and I wasn't willing to settle for a life of misery and mediocrity. So this is me running 5 miles every single day. I remember this video, and this picture specifically is from a video where I was talking to my camera or my phone, going over like how I'm the only one out here. I remember this was my birthday specifically. I was like, I'm the only one out here. 5 mile run. That day, my symptoms while I was running this 5 mile run, my symptoms were the absolute worst that they've ever been. Like literally, it was peak symptoms, visual symptoms. I was running it. Literally looked like I was tripping on some psychedelic. I was like on my phone, crazy visual symptoms. I had crazy existential thoughts while running. I was questioning everything. But I pushed through this 5 mile run, and I realized after I looked around and I felt so good. Going into it felt horrible. During the run, it was the worst it's ever been. But towards the end, it started to get better. And then I pushed through. I remember this last run, I pushed through all the way through. I pushed through the symptoms. I literally just ran at them. I was like, I'm done with this shit. If I died doing this, at least I died trying. It was at that point I was like, I'd rather recover or die trying. There was no other exception. So I ran through it and I realized how good I felt. I realized that it's not about, going through those symptoms. It's when you have that unstoppable mentality and you can change the way that you look at the symptoms. You can realize that on the other side of the symptoms, that's recovery. So take them as your sign. And another good perspective that I realized is like when I was getting in the best shape of my life, the times where I was hungry was literally my body burning fat. That was literally me getting shredded. You feeling symptoms, that's literally you recovering, but only if you react the right way. If I'm shredding weight in the gym and I go to get shredded and I get hungry and then I eat a ton of food, shitty food, if I go eat cake and ice cream and binge, eat some chips, and then go to sleep, I lost the battle. But if you can react the right way, you will be unstoppable. You will get your life back. So, knowing that, here's the hidden truth. Symptoms don't equal a setback at all whatsoever. They're literally proof that your nervous system is learning. It's proof. It's right in front of you. You have to understand that you are going to be tested no matter what your situation is. Every single client I've ever had, every single person I've ever talked to with DPDR has had this test day. Not just one test day, multiple, but they have this one really bad day. And you have to understand, you need to get excited about this day. We're going to dive into that in a second. But the edge of the transformation always feel uncomfortable. So when it goes into your breakthrough, when we go into like, okay, how do I know I'm breaking through and how do I know I'm so close? When the symptoms get so bad to the point to where you make a lot of progress and then the symptoms come back so hard, that is the point to where you're breaking through. That's your recovery right there. But you have two choices when those symptoms come back. You have two options. One, you give in to those symptoms. You say, okay, I am that old identity. I'm going to go back to my old identity, the comfortable DPDR identity, to where life sucks. where I'm going to move on, where I'm going to take a step past. I'm going to take a step forward in the unknown and just see where it can take me. You have to understand that it's in the unknown. It's taking a step regardless of the discomfort that allows the breakthrough. You are tested because your old identity wants to resort to comfort. Your body wants to resort to that old identity because what? It was comfortable and it thought it was protecting you. Our bodies are designed for survival. They in our minds, they're wired for survival. We're not meant to build a life full of abundance. So it's always going to resort to what feels the most safe. And you have this delusion created in your head when you have DPDR. I had it too, to where it genuinely feels that like it's protecting you. It feels like something's wrong. It's because you're misaligned, but it's also because you continue to give in to that old identity. And you will get tested from that old identity, but you can't give in. You can't say, okay, I'm going to go back. You have to take a step forward and realize that it's really letting go from that old person you used to be to becoming the new person that you're supposed to become. And for me, I had the hardest time doing this because truthfully, in my old life, I thought everything was perfect. I was a huge stoner. I had the most fun, smoking weed and going through all the partying lifestyle, all of that stuff. Not that that's, I don't ever think anyone should smoke weed. I hate that. But like, not that partying is necessarily bad. I want to do that in the future. But it's more of the sense of like the way I handled it and the way I lived that life. It was misaligned with my highest self. And that old identity was comfortable. It was comfortable. And what happens is being comfortable for too long starts to become uncomfortable. That's why I want to change. So when I go to change, it's uncomfortable again. And then sure, you might get used to that uncomfort. You might start to feel better. But then that old identity is going to string back. It's going to be like, no, you're this person. You have DPDR. No, you're in this state of negativity. No, you have these existential thoughts. No, you're suffering. And if you claim that identity again, if you go back to your old habits, you will fall back into place. But what you have to understand is your subconscious does not care about what you want. It doesn't even care about what you say you are. It cares about what you repeatedly do daily. And we need to have our actions to continue to reflect the new identity and not spiral back to our old habits. So that's why we need a proven process and a proven routine that can continue to excel, continue to show up, continue to have momentum and progress regardless of these tests. That's how you break through a test. And everyone will have this test. Doesn't matter if you're 6'5", it doesn't matter if you're 4'5", doesn't matter if you're this race, doesn't matter who you are, girl or guy, you will have this test. But it's when you push past this that you see the other side. Now, what I want to mention is identity declaration. You have to declare the identity that you want, not the identity that you think you are. Right? So, I woke up at 4 a.m. every day with hope. Okay? I'm not telling you guys to wake up at 4 a.m. at all whatsoever. Okay? I have clients that don't even go to the gym, don't even wake up early, that make progress. I do think waking up early is extremely important. But when it comes to being in alignment, you have to stick to the identity of the aligned version of yourself. The reason I call my program Highest Self is because when you are aligned with your highest self, DPDR, anxiety, these things can't exist. So by being in full alignment, you can stray away from all the negativity and just have more energy, be more disciplined, feel better, have better relationships, love life, and be on purpose. So we are all meant to be our best version of yourself. Now, when it comes to being your highest self, when it comes to stepping into this identity, you have to know what this person looks like, talks like, walks like, acts like, all of that. You have to embody this person. And if you don't know what this person looks like, it's going to be hard to claim this new identity. So real quick, before we go into the next stage, close your eyes real quick if you haven't done this already. Pause the video and imagine what your high self looks like. How does this person walk, talk, act, live? What do you desire the most? And if you can't find your highest self, if you can't think about what it is, if you're at such a low point to where you can't even get on that wavelength, what do you desire in this life? You don't have to feel like you want it, but like think in your head, like what would be nice to you? Because that desire isn't there for no reason. That's God planting that desire in your head. Listen to that. Now, write down every single thing that's stopping you from getting there and every single solitary thing you need to do to get there. If you can listen to those two things, you will be in alignment. So for me, my highest self at this point, to build unbreakable discipline, I had to start waking up early. So we locked in the early morning wake-ups. I knew no one was coming to save me and that only I could save myself. So even though the symptoms were so bad when I'd wake up early, first thing in the morning, they were so bad, I would continue to tell myself, I am 100% recovered, and every single symptom that I experience is a lingering symptom from the past, and I can control every single thing that happens in the future. Tell yourself this, I am 100% recovered. I have the identity right now of the fact that I am 100% recovered. All of my actions reflect that. I am my best self. So I woke up and I would tell myself when the symptoms would hit me, I am recovered, and I would move like it. What would not just the recovered version of me do, but my aligned highest self do? So I would stick to that. And the subconscious, guess what? It doesn't care what you say. It doesn't care what you think you are right now. It doesn't care if you think you're going to be in this forever. If your actions prove otherwise and you continue to lie to yourself, it will become a truth, right? So tell yourself you are something enough times and act like it. That's you. It follows what you repeatedly do daily. So when you feel these emotions, continue to do them. Now that we understand that, what we have to understand is that desire equals your identity. What you have to understand, when you desire something, that's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are meant to be. You have a burning desire, not because you want to, because God planted that in your head. So I explain that. You need to listen to your desires, have your actions that are in line with your desires, and then take action. The identity is based off your actions daily, right? We acted as the recovered version of yourself. That's who you become, right? I want to be a bodybuilder. I say I desire that being a bodybuilder. I take actions like a bodybuilder would. That is that's my identity. If I want to be a tennis player, whatever you want to do with your life, that desire isn't there for no reason. You have to follow that. Okay? Now that we have to understand, you have to understand this concept before we can move on to how to actually break through. Now, here's what we have to do for the symptoms to come up. So now that we're so close to breaking through, we have to understand that when you're about to break through, the symptoms are going to get worse, right? The symptoms are going to come up. They're going to feel the worst that they've ever felt. You have to understand how to respond to these symptoms when they do come up. And if you don't respond the correct way, you could spiral back, right? Because it's not about not having the symptoms. It's about changing the way you look at the symptoms. You have to understand that these symptoms themselves are an opportunity to prove that you are moved on from it. Because chances are, before this video, you experienced DPDR symptoms, whatever it was, visual snow, brain fog, nothing's real, I'm not real, whatever it is, racing thoughts, who cares? There's so many symptoms. Whatever the symptoms you have were, you've had the symptoms come up and you've been like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind, I'm going to go research, I'm going to go try to figure out what's wrong with me. You've probably searched for so many solutions and it just kept coming back. And you were like, why can't I break free from it? But you haven't learned to look at the symptoms and literally get excited and say, hey, I am going to prove to myself that I am past this. Because the reason you still have symptoms, you could say right now, I am 100% recovered, have all your symptoms reflected, that is your new identity, and you're still going to have lingering symptoms because of how you reacted in the past. And they're called lingering symptoms because that is not you anymore. That is based off of what you did a week ago, 2 days ago, a day ago, a month ago. It's still lingering from that reaction. There's a time delay. But what you can do is you can plant seeds today for the future. You can change the image that is in front of the mirror so it's reflected to you positively in the future. So instead of trying to fix something, we change what's in here and it changes as well. The same thing can go with this turtle shell analogy. When a turtle is trying to protect itself, when there's a threat, it goes in its shell. It's not about fighting against the shell to get out. It's not about trying to resist it. What it is, it's about changing what this mind of the turtle thinks about the environment around him. If the turtle doesn't think that there's a threat anymore, the turtle's fully convinced that there's no threat, there's no danger, the shell will come off. That's how you have to react. And how does the turtle do that? The turtle changes how it's responding to the danger. For you, the danger isn't even there. It just thinks that there's a threat because you are misaligned. So we become aligned, we change that, and then we respond the correct way. We understand that this is an opportunity. This is a way to prove and to plant that seed for the future. Now, moving forward, now that you understand that the world's a reflection by your internal state, instead of trying to change the mirror's reflection, you change what's in front of the mirror, which is yourself and your thoughts and how you perceive it. Now we can dive into the DARE response. Okay, so if you guys aren't taking notes, please start taking notes now because this is getting good. Okay, the DARE response, this is exactly how to respond when symptoms come up. We first want to diffuse. So when you diffuse the symptoms, smile at them, right? Smile at the symptoms and say, let go. This is my time to shine. This is my chance, right? You could say this is my opportunity. Another good thing people say is silly brain doing that thing again. Acknowledge it. Diffuse it and acknowledge it. Realize that it's nothing special, right? Nothing special about this. I felt this before. I'm still here. I'm still safe. I'm still good. Diffuse the situation. You want to recognize the feelings without fighting them. That's the whole point. You recognize that the feelings are there, but you don't fight them. You say, I'm past this shit. I'm on that new identity, right? You diffuse it. Next is you allow it. You completely accept the symptoms to be there. You can accept it like a temporary visitor and be like, okay, you want to, this is a test, but I like it. I like the test. Say to yourself, fine, be here. I do not care. The school bully analogy. If you were getting bullied at school, what would you do to get the bully to go away? I guarantee you wouldn't cry. You wouldn't give in. You wouldn't fight back. You wouldn't care. Another analogy for this. If you're scrolling on TikTok and you see a video and you don't want to get more of it, are you going to engage? No, you're going to scroll. Fine, be here. I don't care. It's whatever. I don't give a shit. Genuinely don't care. It can stay as long as it wants. I don't need to fix this. I trust the process. Again, I trust the process. If you can have all the urgency and needing to recover for tomorrow with your actions, but when symptoms come up, you mentally tell yourself, stay here as long as you want. I know I'm going to recover. I know this process is going to work. It will go away so fast. So just vanish, okay? So understand that. Next is we got to run towards the symptoms. Use phrases like, all right, let's go. Let's go, let's go. Show me what you got. If you could be like, okay, let's get it. Instead of avoiding, run mentally towards it. Run mentally towards it. You can literally run towards it and be like, I want this. I crave the symptoms. I want to feel this. That's how I rewire. And genuinely crave the symptoms. You can do so much progress in your life if you can learn to crave the symptoms. So instead of avoiding it, literally run mentally towards it. Okay? If you can tell yourself, I want this every single time, tell yourself this is a test, tell yourself I'm passing the test, nothing will change. Like, you literally run into it. So, for example, if I'm at a social interaction, a social event, whatever, it's a party, whatever it is, symptoms hit me so hard, I'm going to go talk to as many people as possible. Even if it's uncomfortable, I'm running towards that shit. And then engage. So you want to do something that pulls you in completely. This is high frequency activity. You don't have time for anxiety when you're getting engaged. Work out, call a friend, clean, focus on a task. The more engagement you can put into something, it's going to fade. So all your intention, all your focus into something. When I was doing my fitness coaching business, that helped me so much because I had a purpose. If you can have, when you're in true alignment, your focus is so on something that you literally wake up before the alarm. You're so ambitious. You're so motivated. You wake up driven to do something. Your focus is on something else. You're responding to messages. You're doing all these things. Be so focused on something. This is why people that get in relationships, like you might get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and then DPDR might go away because of that, because you're so focused on that relationship, right? We need to consume our mind with positive input. Again, our brain's job is to perceive and process information. The job is not to try to eliminate the information. It's flooding it with new information so it pushes all the information out. It's an old program, right? We need to run the programs we want by introducing them. Okay, so high frequency activities, go engage. Next. Crave the symptoms. I can't stress this enough. I talked about this a little bit like a minute ago. You need to understand that craving the symptoms is the answer. Don't resist them. Understand that when you are about to break through, when you are days away from the breakthrough, when the breakthrough is tomorrow, they might feel the worst they have ever felt. But I want you to understand this. If I had arachnophobia and I was terrified of spiders, right? If you threw me in a room with 1,000 spiders, I would be scared shitless. I'd be terrified. I'd have no idea what to do. But if you threw me in twice, I'd still be terrified. Maybe 3 times, still terrified. 4 times, it'd be a little less extreme, right? It'd be a little less extreme. Now, if you throw me in that room with spiders the 5th time, maybe a little bit less. 10 times later, a lot less. Throw me in that room 100 times, my nervous system's going to adjust, right? I'm not going to be scared. So understand that by craving these, by continuously exposing yourself, not that exposure therapy itself works, because you don't want to intentionally expose yourself to the symptoms, because what that does, that puts you in a state of trying to recover. We need to live like we're already there. So when the symptoms do come up, they're just okay, right? And that comes from going out and living real life experiences, right? So don't resist, lean into the feeling, love them, even get excited for them. If you can be like, I love this shit, and actually crave it, like, what makes it worse? Don't go out and do that, but when you are in the situation to where it's coming up, get so excited because now you can actually break through. Now you have the chance. Don't listen to that old identity. Continue to embody the new recovered identity with your actions and your habits. And when you crave them, they will fade away. That's it. When you crave them, they fade. That's it. Okay, so we need to crave them. We need to get excited. They'll go away. Imagine if you were excited. Imagine if you were getting bullied in school and you genuinely got excited when you saw the bully. That bully would be gone in seconds, bro. Because that ruins the whole point. So that's what we need to be approaching this at. Now, two things about reacting to well, as well as the I love it technique and the smile technique. Okay, so this paragraph is a placeholder. Replace it. Okay, I'm reading the bottom thing. The I love it technique essentially is when you can say I love it to every single symptom, every single experience, every single time it comes up. If you can say I love it, like I talked about earlier, that's it. Now the next is the smile technique. When you smile, it psychologically tells your brain that this is good, that this is not a threat, this is good. If you smile when you text someone, they can literally feel that energy through the phone. The same thing goes with this. Smile at it. Like, genuinely, don't just, like, kind of smile. Smile with your teeth. Smile at the symptoms. Like, seriously, laugh at them. You guys are taking yourself so seriously, and that's the biggest problem. And I'm saying this out of love, and I'm saying this out of experience. I used to take my thoughts so seriously. It's not about fixing your thoughts, because thoughts aren't the problem. Thoughts are a projection of the mind, nothing more, right? Thoughts are a projection of the mind, and your world is a mirror of your thoughts. So the order to change it, we're not changing the exterior, we're changing our internal state. The way we change our internal state is by literally smiling at these symptoms, okay? Here's what you want to avoid. This is the whole pitfall to avoid. Essentially, avoid this at all costs, okay? Here's the loop that most people fall short to, that most people fall in if you're about to recover. Like, when you're so close to recovery, this is where you're about to break through. Most people fall for this loop. 1, here's the loop. Anxiety first triggers your symptoms. This is how you first fall into DPDR. You could have a panic attack. You could have smoked weed one day. You could have a stressful event. You got broken up with. A loved one died. Just high stress from, work, school, whatever it is. It could be so many reasons. High stress, anxiety triggers the symptoms. You fear the symptoms, right? Because 80+% of the world has DPDR at some point in their life. But it's the people that get DPDR and then react to it that actually have it called derealization disorder, right? DPDR is just your body's, survival mechanism. It can last seconds. But when you have it and you react to it, the fear and the symptoms, you analyze them. This creates more anxiety, which exacerbates the symptoms and makes it worse. Keeps you alive. And essentially, it's just a continuous loop. Example would be, you're going throughout your day. You have a panic attack. It triggers your DPDR. You're in this DPDR state for months and months and months. You finally start to make progress. But then the symptoms come up, and it's the final test. You fear the symptom that day. You can still fear the symptoms, guys. You have to understand. You can still fear the symptoms and break through, but you change your actions. So I didn't really include it here. I should have. When you have fear and it creates more anxiety, which is fine, it's not. First of all, you do want to change the perspective on the symptoms to an extent, but you need to have your actions to continue to prove that you are recovered. So even regardless of the fear, your actions will continue to prove the fact that you're recovered. Regardless of how you feel, your actions continue to show up the fact that you're recovered. Regardless of what's going on, your actions prove it. The fear will start to go away, because if your actions continue to reflect that the symptoms don't matter, you will genuinely feel less power from the symptoms. You're not giving it as much power. My guy Timo, one of my clients, he's a DJ. He took months off from DJing because of DPDR, because of the anxiety. And guess what? He went and had the best DJing gig of his life. Thousands of people watching him. It was nuts. And then guess what? He recovered. Why? Because he used that and understood that he could still feel happy. He could still feel fulfilled. He could still love his life with DPDR, with the symptoms. Why do they have power? And they didn't. So guess what? They went away because he realized that you need to feel the way that you would feel when you're recovered before you recover. You don't recover out of nowhere. That's why people are like, when people message me, a lot of people are like, okay, I'm so scared of recovering because I don't know if I'd be able to handle it. That you're never going to be able, it's like if I were given $1 million right now, I wouldn't be able to handle that much money. I would lose a business. Like if you gave me $1 million a month business, I'd lose it so fast because I am not the person who can handle it. If you want to recover, you have to become the person who's recovered, or else you won't be able to handle it, right? So you have to become that person first. You have to feel the same way. You have to be happy. You have to be fulfilled. Same thing always goes, okay? Now here's how to break through. Now that you understand what's holding people back, here's how you actually do it. Move anyway. Have your actions reflect the fact that you are there anyway. Have the reflections, your actions, reflect the fact that you are already done. Breakthrough equals feeling symptoms and moving forward anyway, right? We talked about that, doing it regardless. Now what happens is, there's something called autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is how your subconscious mind perceives who you are based off of the actions you take on a day-to-day basis. Now if every single thing you do is up to a standard of excellence, meaning every single time you wash the dish, or every single time you eat a meal, you wash the dish. Every time you run, that last mile is 100%. Every time you go to the gym, you give it your all. Every time you talk to someone, you treat them like they're a $100 million CEO. Your subconscious mind will have no choice but to adhere to the fact that you are recovered, you are your higher self, and you're confident. It's not symptom-free living, but it's fearless living, and confidence makes you fearless. When you can be like, I don't care what life throws at me, I'm going to break that shit down. I'm going to completely, get past that. And then continue to move on. Your actions will reflect that. My turning point is when I acted as if I was recovered. I acted like that every single day. And what happens is, a lot of you guys don't understand that. If you're close to a breakthrough, it's not about doing it once. So you could get really bad symptoms one day and be like, well, Nick, I responded to the symptoms completely perfectly. I wasn't scared of the symptoms. I did the day response. I smiled at the symptoms, and I kept doing my work. But nothing changed. It's not because you didn't do it consistently enough. And you have too much excess potential on the outcome. Again, we need to let go from the outcome, detach from the end result, but do all the inputs 100%. So your subconscious only learns through repetition, and we do this every single day. I said I wanted to be in the best shape of my life. I said I wanted to do fitness coaching. I showed up every single day like a fitness coach was. Who cares about the end results? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The end result doesn't matter. It's about the systems that get you to the end results, because if you can stick to a system that works, the end result is 100% guaranteed. Does that make sense? So each time you prove safely, a system could be your habits. It could be showing. I know if I show up to the gym every day, if I eat the right calories, if I eat my protein, if I get 8 hours of sleep, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life no matter what happens. Guess what happened? Who cares about the outcome? It's meant to happen. The same thing goes with your recovery. If you show up like you're recovered, if you live like it, if you breathe like it, if you really embody this person, recovery is just inevitable, right? So we need to just let go from the outcome, but do the process. And this will become automatic, right? This will be literally a part of you. It takes, forget how many days it takes to build a new habit. It's like, I don't know, 17 days, 22 days, whatever it was, 13 days. I forget, some number like that. To build a new habit, you need to do this until it becomes a part of you. Again, we're not locking into recover. We're making this genuinely our identity. This is who we are. This is how we are. This is the person we are. We are recovered. Our actions reflect that, okay? And over time, this will get you there. And lastly, before we end off this video, here's what recovery will look like. Here's what it'll look like. It is not linear. I can't say this enough. I cannot say this to you guys enough. Recovery is not linear. It's not going to be a perfect straight line to a full path of recovery. It's up and down. It's good days, bad days, terrible days, great days, whatever it is. It's not linear. So you have to understand that one day you could be top of the world. Like you might start off this journey. Say the months. I wouldn't even look at the months right now. This is just a stock graph to kind of give an example. Screw the numbers and the dates. Say you're starting here. This is day one. This is like maybe 2 weeks into recovery. You're doing so good. You're like, I'm doing great. Boom! Symptoms hit. You go down. You're like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. You build your way back up. The symptoms hit. Boom! You have to understand that right here when you're in this boom, if you continue to go and let the symptoms deter you, let the symptoms control you, let the symptoms gain captive over your life, you will continue to down spiral. You will go down and down and down. Or bullish or whatever it's called. We need to go up. And the way we go up is by getting to here and saying, nah, this is not my identity. Continue to show up. You will go right back up. So this is what your recovery looks like. It's going to go up, down, and up, down. You need to stick to your process, and I guarantee you'll end here. All right? We're all in this together, guys. You need the biggest thing I want you to take away from this video is that symptoms aren't the problem. It's how you react to those symptoms that are the problem. And the way you know you're about to break through is when shit gets hard. And if you can hold yourself like a rock, continue to show up, continue to trust the process, let go from the outcome, just knowing it's going to happen, but showing up with the identity that you are there, that's how you break through. Love the symptoms, crave them, because you are past this. The reason you still have it is because you are giving it power. You are genuinely idolizing DPDR.
it ain't shit, right? So that's it. This video could change your life, but make sure you actually went back. If you didn't take notes, go back and retake notes on this, because I would dreamed of this information back in the day. But with that being said, if you guys do want to reach a full recovery with me by your side in weeks, just go on my Instagram, link in the bio, DM me for the word freedom. We'll have a conversation. We'll see if you're a good fit, all of that. But we're all in this together. We're all going to recover together. Doesn't matter how bad it is. There's no such thing as the exception as long as you don't give it power. That being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!